Hello, I'm back. I'd like to say I'm better than ever, but I've actually got a stinking cold. And my aim at the moment, I'm just going to bash out a bunch of little thoughts that I've had that I just want to get out there in the world. And the first one is maybe small part of the reason that I stopped engaging so much online for a bit, because I was just getting really frustrated by feminists kind of just spreading misinformation. And then there's a slightly more subtle version of that I'll get onto that has also been really frustrating me, but is quite hard to pin down and work out what annoys me. Well, I'll explain and let's talk about it. So the first one was just absolute blatant misinformation. And this mostly I saw around Sarah Jane Barker, who, for anyone who doesn't know, was the bloke who was arrested for saying, if you see a turf, punch him in the fucking face. So he got arrested for incitement to violence. And the reason that he got arrested was because I didn't quite understand exactly, but basically had previously been imprisoned because he kidnapped and tortured someone. So this is a reprehensible human being, but people were saying that he'd committed sex attacks against a 14-year-old, and that's not true. That's not what he did. And I don't see the use in lying about that. And I get it. There are so many terrible men out there that we are getting our wires crossed and maybe attributing the wrong crimes to the wrong people. But when things can be found out in a 3-second Google, I just think that this lack of fact checking is really getting to me, and I don't know why. But yeah, it annoyed me. And the fact that then when I brought it up to a few women that I saw doing this, the reaction wasn't so much about oh yeah, I could have just checked that, and yeah, you're right, it doesn't help us. It was just oh, I didn't know. No sort of realising that you maybe might mean to just change your approach to things ever so slightly. And again, it's not something that takes long. It's literally a 5-second Google. You can find out the crimes that these men have committed and be accurate about it. Because it doesn't help us. When people see us spreading misinformation, it doesn't help us. And then the second part is, it's a bit more subtle. And it's not quite as easily solvable as a 5-second Google. And I see it a lot with, I think it's basically just women who weren't, so slightly older, not even that old, maybe 40, who just weren't on Tumblr, and so didn't see a lot of this trans stuff arising, and particularly how that interacts with porn, and, just chronically online teenagerdom. And so I see it a lot. There's a lot of misunderstanding of furries, and I'm not here to defend furries at all, because I think that, it very, very often crosses over with sexual fetish, and then, they're kind, cute looking characters that obviously then bring in children. I think that's really worrying and really dangerous. But that is not people literally identifying as dogs. And so there's that, that's a small thing. And then the other example I gave was, I never know if it's useful to say who it was or not, but anyway, someone was being interviewed, and she's pretty prominent, and I really value the work that she does, and I have used the resources that she's come out with. But she was talking about OnlyFans and how bad it is, and I was like, yeah, agree. And then she started saying something about and there's 2,000 images on OnlyFans tagged Lolita, and that means that there's underage women, there's girls. This is images of underage girls. And I was just thinking, no, it isn't. I might be wrong, but almost definitely, if something's being tagged with Lolita on a porn site, and it's a fairly small number, 2,000, that is probably the Japanese fashion subculture, Lolita. We can have a discussion about that's an inappropriate name for it, but that's the name it's got, and but that Lolita's actually kind of meant to be a reaction against sexualization, and again, we can discuss this about frilly femininity, and maybe that's not good, but I think it's more likely to be that being sexualized by pornographers. And it just seemed like an odd thing to say, because it makes us sound like we are. There's so many things to be genuinely outraged about and genuinely horrified by, and the proof is right there, and she was showing all the proof. So why make a actually probably wrong assumption about something like that? And I might be wrong. Maybe that is literally, for some reason, on OnlyFans, when they hashtag Lolita, it's literally to traffic paedophiles towards it. But and I see this a lot, not exactly that, but just things of you've really misunderstood something about this sort of, I'm going to say youth online culture. Now it's people in our 20s who are there, but it's it's just a bit of a frustration for me. And it's sort of like, again, because these trans people are mostly like people who were chronically online and are now in their 20s like me, they immediately see that what you're saying is silly, because it is silly. And I just think it does us no favours. And I don't really know what the solution is to it, because there is so much, honestly. Being on Tumblr at that time is just, yeah, it was madness. But also, yeah, it's given me such a different perspective on this than I think a lot of maybe slightly older women have. And again, when I say slightly older, I mean literally slightly. But yeah. Anyway, I'm going to just bash out a bunch of videos that are like all my thoughts on various little things, because I keep umming and ahhing, because I go, like, I keep changing, not changing my mind fundamentally, but like the nuances of it. But I think I just want to chuck stuff out there. I can take stuff down. I can say, yeah, I changed my mind on that. Like, it's all fine. But yeah, I just want to get back on this because I really valued it. But I think I started finding some like real world outlets for this, which has been helpful. And I hope that if you don't have that, you can find that. But anyway, thoughts, comments, feelings. Love you, bye.